Hi all, we're back with another grocery haul. This time I'm also going to show you my meal plan for the week, and then I'm going to show you how I'm prepping my lunch. This week I'm planning on eating kind of a standardized menu. I'm going to have 2 options for dinner, 2 options for breakfast, and then 1 option for lunch. I think I'm okay with that. There are a lot of people who don't like eating the same thing every day, but for me, a little bit of variety is great. And also I know that the following week I'm gonna have a whole new menu and I'm not gonna be missing out. The other thing is, I'm not the super strictest person when it comes to this stuff. I have been in the past, and that worked for me in the past, but right now I'm in a phase where I'm not tied to, okay, this is my menu and therefore I must have it exactly that way. What I like to do is I like to make options for myself to free up my time, to free up the mental space, like the decision fatigue, to that it takes some time to decide what you're eating and you know what to do for your meals, right? That takes up a lot of time and mental energy and space. I like to get rid of that by making a menu. At the same time, I don't want to feel tied down or married to that menu. So this is yet another example of how I'm doing that. And I hope that you can follow along if you're on a journey to improve your diet, improve your health, right? Taking in the proper nutrients that you need, or if you're looking to make any body composition changes. This is the method that I teach my clients, and this is the method that I'm sharing with you today. Okay, so like I said, we're gonna go through our grocery haul first, then I'm gonna tell you the meals that I plan on eating, okay? So all of this I got at Lidl. Lidl is a budget grocery store that's not too far from me. I live in Harlem. It's also analogous to Aldi, which I think is more widespread here out of the two in the US. And they're quite popular in Europe. I think most of my European, followers and folks in the UK, et cetera, they'll be very familiar with this grocery store. But if you're not familiar with it in the States and there is one by you or nearby, I highly recommend it. Everything is pretty reasonably priced for what they are, and you have a good variety of fruits, vegetables, and a couple of vegan proteins here and there. That's not where I primarily shop, but it's what I did for this week because again, it's pretty close by and I didn't have to do too much to get there. Okay, so as far as vegetables, starting off with zucchini. They don't look that great. That is the one thing I would say about Lidl, is that their produce, at least by my location, is kind of like, it's fine. It's totally fine. It's vegetables. If price is going to prevent you from eating vegetables, I think that's a great store to go. If you are a stickler for quality and things like that, that might not be the best store for you if you're willing to pay a little bit more. Okay, that aside, my main thing is to get the veg in, right? That's the most important thing. There are many people who say, eating healthy is really expensive, and they kind of use that as the go-ahead to continue, their diet as usual, right? I encourage people to kind of let go of that and to, accept the change that you want in your lifestyle, right? If that means that, you're okay with getting higher quality food and you're gonna accept the price and just get a very few amount of items that fit that bill for you, do that. But don't sit and say, oh, well, it's expensive to get really good stuff, and then just never try, right? Okay, that was a whole aside. I'm still on item number 1. I got this amount of zucchini. All right, I also got some bell peppers. I love fresh bell peppers. I also get frozen, those bags that have frozen bell peppers and onions. I love those. I think I have, a third of a bag left when I need you know, to saute things or anything, but I also like having these, and I'll show you what I'm gonna do with these in a moment. Or actually I won't. This will all make sense in just a moment. I also got tomatoes. These are my favorite types of tomatoes, these cocktail tomatoes. They're still on the vine, so they stay fresher for longer, and they're small. So you never run into the issue where you just want to make one sandwich and now you have a beefsteak tomato and half of it is just open. And if you put it in the if you put it in the refrigerator, all of the flavor is gone the next time you come and get the rest of that tomato, right? So this is great because you just use the whole tomato for your sandwich or two or whatever it is, and you keep it pushing, and they always, pretty much always will stay fresh for as long as you have them. So yeah, so I like that. And then you can keep them outside, right? If you're putting your if you're still in the year of our Lord 2025, putting your tomatoes in the refrigerator, just, what are we doing? What are we doing? Okay, I also got 2 whole white mushrooms. These were 2 for $1. No, excuse me, these were 2 for $2. So I got 2 for $2, like say less, right? Worst case scenario, and this was not in my plan to use these, but worst case scenario, I can rinse them off, chop them up, and put them in the freezer and use them at another time. Or I can cook them all, you know, put them in a container, put in the freezer, etc. Rinse and repeat. You get the idea. Okay. I also got tofu. Listen, if you've seen any of my other grocery haul videos and you've seen me go to Lidl, you know that I get my tofu there every time. It's $1.55 for extra firm tofu. What can go wrong? Literally, what can go wrong? Okay, I also got thin sliced bread. This is very similar. Actually, I'm pretty sure it's the same thing as, I think it's the one with the guy and he's doing one of these. In any case, they have a thin sliced bread and the macros are the same. The price is a little bit different. So you already know that I got this one. This is organic thin sliced 21 grain and seeds bread. Each slice has 4 grams of protein in it, 3 grams of fiber, 15 total grams of carbohydrate, and 1.5 gram of fat, 0 of saturated fat. Those are the main things that I look at when I am looking at nutrition facts. And then also each slice has 105 milligrams of sodium, right? So that's the main things that I look at when I'm looking at the nutrition facts. Not that you asked, but I am sharing that. But that's why I like this one. When I'm having a sandwich, I don't need that much bread. I mean, you know, I love bread just like anyone else, but if it's just a sandwich that I'm making through the week, or if it's like a burger, like my intention is with this, you know, I think a thin sliced is great. I think it makes the filling more part of the enjoyment of the meal. That made sense in my head. Hopefully makes sense to someone else. Okay. And then I got these baby spinach. Now, the one that they have at BJ's Wholesale obviously is bigger, and I love that one, but I was not gonna make a whole trip just to get more spinach. So I got this 1 pound one. I think the one at BJ's is 2 pounds, I wanna say. Run the tape. I think I got a huge tub in the last video here, but this I'm gonna use up a lot of it. And spinach, as you know, this is 2 bites right here, 2-3 bites, you know, so once you cook it, it just, it poof, goes away. Okay, and another thing I got is this Mediterranean style vegetable bag, right? You'll find a version of this at Costco. You'll find a version of this at many, you know, multiple stores. I'll tell you what's in it if you can't find something like this and you want to kind of make a mix. So it's the regular characters here, right? A blend of zucchini slices, broccoli, champignon mushrooms. Doesn't champignon mean mushrooms in French? Is that a specific type of mushroom? Because it looks like the regular mushrooms, like it looks like just button mushrooms. I don't know. Anyway, it also has onions, yellow and red bell peppers, black olives in a flavorful Mediterranean style sauce. That's the part that got me. all of the vegetables that I was going to use for the meals that I will tell you in a moment, with the sauce already in there. This again, and I've said this a couple of times in other videos, this type of thing is going to just save your life on those weeks that feel busy, on those, I mean, these are meal prep hacks, right? Because what you're doing here is you're getting a whole load of veggies, you're getting the dressing already in there, so you're saving a lot of time chopping, you're saving a lot of time deciding what kind of vegetables go with what and putting in where and da-da-da-da, and you're saving the time of making a dressing or buying or finding another dressing, right? So you're saving a whole lot of cash. I'm forgetting the price of this one. I have the receipts here. Maybe in the editing, I'll put up the price, or maybe I'll just put the total price once I have that up. But the vegetable stir fry, yeah, this was $3.29. If you were to buy all of those vegetables and, you know, make your own sauce and stuff like that, I mean, I think over time, if it's something that you constantly do, it may be cheaper, but just getting this $3.24 bag for a recipe that I'm planning to make for this week is way cheaper than getting all of those things individually, right? But again, that's not the major concern here for this. The major concern is the time saving, right? Now, you'll see that I did also get a lot of those vegetables that are in that bag. That was before the fact. And also, these are heavy hitters in my household, so I will find ways of using them otherwise, or I can prepare them, chop them up, put them in the refrigerator or the freezer for whenever I'm making something else. Okay, speaking of what we're making, this is the menu for this week. This is the meal plan. So breakfast, I have two options for breakfast. Breakfast number one will be, I call it protes. I like a good pun. I like bad puns too, apparently. So basically what I'm doing is I'm taking my protein shake and I'm making an overnight oats with that. I also have a whole bunch of dark chocolate chips that, you know, don't have any milk or anything in them. So I like to make like a double chocolate protein oats. It's great. The macros are great. I put in some chia seeds. I put in some creatine. Like it's a whole post-workout meal that works great for me. And it's something easy to grab out of the fridge and go along with my lunch and go to the office. Boom. Right? Meal done. So that's breakfast number one. Breakfast number two is a protein and fruit smoothie. So I have a bag of frozen berries in my freezer, and so what I do is I put the protein smoothie into the blender, blend that up with the fruit. Obviously creatine gets added in there. If I'm feeling spicy, I might put some flax seeds and call it a day, right? I actually have one prepped today for tomorrow. I decided to have something else. In the middle of when I was blending it, I was like, I'll just leave this for tomorrow, because I decided to have toast instead and just have the shake on the side. So, you know, that's going to be what I have there. For those days, those are also pretty quick, right? Because you're just throwing it in the blender and going. So both of those are quick, high protein, good carb vegetable options. They're high in fiber, you know, because you have the berries in one version and you have the oats in the other. I mean, what can go wrong? What can go wrong? I can also after I meal prep some of my other stuff, if I have spinach left over, which I suspect I will, I can also put these in the smoothie. So, you know, that can be an added bonus, because then I'll have some greens in the morning, just incidentally. So that's great. For lunch, and this is what I'm going to prepare and show you in just a moment, I decided to have a pasta salad. So it's going to be a high protein pasta salad with tofu feta. That's the block of tofu that I have over there that's draining. I'm going to show you how I'm going to make that tofu feta, and I'm going to show you how I make the rest of the pasta salad. That was my intent with buying some of the peppers and the mushrooms and the this and the that. And then I saw this guy, so I'll be using this high protein pasta, which you can kind of you know, zoom in and see that there. That is the Barilla Protein Plus Rotini. So that and the tofu feta, and that's going to make a high protein meal. Probably is going to be around 30 grams or so of protein, or I'm hoping that it is 30 grams or so of protein, if I did my math right, which I think I did. And yeah, so that's the lunch. That's the lunch that I'll have all week long. Now, the reason why I'm having that same lunch all week long is twofold. One, because then I can just cook this whole box. How do I point to get to this? I can just cook this whole box and do everything in one fell swoop, put them in different containers, and lunch is done for the week. The second reason is eat something that doesn't need to be reheated. It's something that I can just grab and go out the fridge and I'm ready to go. The reason why that is important is because I am increasing my step count for the month of August. It's nice out. It's not sweltering crazy heat. It's also not raining every day, so I'm taking advantage of that and I'm increasing my step count. I love being outside. I love hiking. I love doing all of those things. And so, and I'm also trying to do that throughout the day. And so what I find is that when I have lunch either at home, when I'm working from home, or when I'm in the office, I like to take my lunch and go outside. I don't like to have my lunch in the place that I'm working. It's not good. I'm trying to kind of balance that out. So what I'll be doing is when I'm having lunch at home, I grab that, I take a walk to the park, right, which is not too far from me. I do the loop, I sit, I have my lunch, I have my little picnic blanket, have a great time, and then come back home. For the days that I'm in the office, I work on a campus that is very close to the river, or close enough to the river, Riverside Park, which you know I love. I have a long form video on that showing you a long stretch of that park, also trying to get my steps in. So if you're someone who uses a treadmill, I highly recommend that video if you need some vistas and some scenery as you're on the treadmill. I do also recommend just getting outside if you can, but if you can't, use that video. Anyway, so that is a part of that is not too far from where I work, so grab my lunch out the fridge or out my backpack, go down to the river, have my lunch, enjoy, and then walk back, right? And that makes it quick, so it's not something that I have to reheat. I have to battle folks to get to the microwave, all of that sort of stuff. Grab, go, right? So that is the plan for lunch. For dinner, so I have two options for dinner as well. Dinner number one will just be a burger sandwich, whatever, just a burger. If I have some spinach left over, I may make a side salad. I have some zucchini as well that I can roast up real quick. I have, like I mentioned, frozen bell peppers. I have these bell peppers. I have mushrooms. I have loads of veg in my freezer that I can make into whatever side that I need. I'm not the type of person that needs to have meals with names attached to, or dishes with names attached to them. You could just make stuff up as you go. As long as I'm getting my veg in, it's not that serious. Or my veg and my protein, right? So the protein will be in the burger, then in the bread as well. So it's going to be one extra 8 grams of protein just from the bread alone. Not that that's the highest quality protein, but it's bumping up the numbers, and that's great for me. And then I could just have a good time. I usually just throw things in the air fryer. Obviously I could throw things in the pan, keep it moving. That's option number one, a burger sandwich with some sort of vegetable sides. Option number two for dinner is a potato bowl with some veggies, right? Again, I have a plethora of veggies. I will remix them in different ways. I maybe might make a stir fry with potatoes or something. Where's my potato bag? So actually you would have seen it in my last grocery haul. The Little Potato Co. They make those tiny little potatoes that are so simple to make in the air fryer. I believe you can even microwave them. I would maybe poke a hole, just kind of, fork, prick your fork in them. That's just because I'm paranoid and I just don't want anything exploding. Or you can boil them, whatever, but they're so small that they take minutes to cook, and that's wonderful. As you're cooking those, you can make whatever other thing that you're adding with them. For those, I will likely either have, because I do have these tofu still, so I'll alternate between tofu or some of the Beyond Steak that I have in my refrigerator. I also have some beans that I have and some lentils. So I'll swap up the protein that I have, but I will likely do the tofu or the Beyond Steak stuff, just because that is quicker, that's easier, and it's a higher concentration of protein, especially if I'm having it with something like potatoes, which already has a lot of carbohydrates that are great, that are good for me, that are nutritious, but much more than that I really don't need, right? But I may even still have some lentils or beans or some sort of like bean or lentil stew on the side, depending on how I'm feeling and the energy that I have to cook for that night. Okay, so this is what we're doing for this week. Oh, and I just looked over to the side. I forgot some of the things that I wanted to mention here. So I'm seeing a friend later on. I have a meeting and then I'm seeing a friend immediately after. We're taking a long walk up Riverside Park again. Clearly one of my favorite things to do. So I am going over to their house and I'm always stealing their food while I'm there. I'm like, oh, what snacks do you got? You know, so this time I'm bringing some so the last time I was in Lidl, they had salsa on sale, and I was like, oh, it's on sale, and it was ridiculous. It was like $1 or something, and a nice tub of like really nice salsa, not just, you know, podunk whatever salsa. So I took it. I was like, oh, I'll find something to do with it. I didn't find anything to do with it, and it's been sitting in my fridge for several days. So I'm bringing this over to a friend's house and I'll just leave it over there for them to use, because clearly I won't, and I do not like wasting food. That's wasting energy, that's wasting time, that's wasting money. Okay. And the final thing that I got, don't worry about me, y'all. I'm gonna say something that's gonna sound very scary. Don't worry about me, because I don't wanna worry you. But there is a listeria outbreak in my zip code and in the neighboring zip codes and in the zip code that my employer is at. 80 whatever something people have been infected. And did I get a notification on my phone from the city? No. So that's, you know, America 2025. Whatever. And you know that mortal danger is the only way that I would be buying in New York City, where we have wonderful tap water that we steal from upstate, admittedly, but that's the only reason that I would buy bottled water. Other countries, other jurisdictions, other areas, that's a different story. But in New York City, this is truly the only reason that you will see me buying bottled water. Although, as you can tell, I'm not very picky about many things. So even if the water was dodgy, I probably still would drink. I'm getting better with the self-care, y'all. I really am. But in any case, I also have bottled water. These were actually really inexpensive. I was pretty shocked by it. So it's 2 gallons, and I was shocked because I mean, you see that I don't buy that, so I had no reference point for how much they should cost. But those were, both of them together were less than $3. It was $2.98, which, you know, by American standards, you know, and especially, I mean, you would think, because capitalism is what it is, you would think that they'd hike up the price now that everyone is buying bottled water in this area. They were what was it? They were $1.45 each. Wow. It's not going to change my mind about plastic. Of course, I will recycle these plastics as best I can, but you know, that actually brings up a great point with things like this, right? There are some people who are just they put their I'll just cut this out. I don't know. It's not important. But there's some people that kind of put their ethics above everything else, or they're not very pragmatic, I should say. And I try to be a logical, pragmatic person. I am a child of Star Trek. I'm a child of science. I'm a child of Bill Nye. And so what I try to do is just do the best I can in a way that makes sense, that weighs all of the options and tries to get the better option, with the understanding that there is no best option. There is no option that is free from harming anyone or anything. There's no option that is purely the 100% best ethical choice. That's why you'll never see me on here saying, you know, vegan or die type of, you know, go vegan or go home type of, you know, no zero waste type of, no waste, zero waste type stuff. Like, it's just not me. I don't have it in me, because I realize the reality is different for everyone. I know what you're thinking, some of you, that the reality for animals is what it is, and it's paramount, and I hear you. I do. But I think also a compassionate approach to humans, who you're trying to make do the thing, needs to also be paramount. I think you attract more flies with honey than with, I don't know, a fly swatter? How does that saying go? I don't know. Anyway, this is so off topic. This is so beyond the point. That's my grocery haul. That's my meal plan. I will show you if I have time, LOL, which I do not. I'll show you later on how I'm prepping my lunch.